Hello and welcome to the Paris Fintech Forum Communities Programme. I'm Elliot Gotkin. I'm a journalist and with Laurent Nisri, co-host of this exclusive video interview series produced with the support of Solaris Bank, Rise and BPI France. Now, if your fintech was backed by the likes of Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley and Bank of America, then you'd probably be feeling pretty confident of coming out on top. But when your main competitor is Bloomberg's mighty messenger service, then you probably still have your work cut out. Well, the company is Symphony and its founder and CEO is David Gurle, who joins me now. David, great to see you. How's it going where you are?
Hi, Elliot. Great to see you as well. Thanks for having me. I'm in Hong Kong.
And how's life in Hong Kong right now? Things pretty back to normal?
It's pretty back to normal. Some restrictions here and there, but I would say life is almost normal.
Almost. Okay. Well, why don't we just start by, if you can perhaps tell us a bit more about Symphony. It's obviously more advanced than the messaging services that most of us use in our daily lives.
Certainly is. I mean, we started in October 2014 on the back of a need for connecting financial services institutions with each other within their organization, but especially with their customers. And as you know, financial services is very conversational in nature. It's an information-based business. And messaging has become the nervous system of financial services. So Symphony really came on the back of those needs and trends. And with a very, very strong desire from the market to have an alternative system that is neutral. In other words, it can access the content of the messages. It's secure, so it protects the information from any potential threat. And it's also compliant because obviously regulators around the world are all looking into their constituents' communication and making sure that their behavior keeps the markets fair and safe. And so that's how Symphony was born. We provide collaboration technologies and capabilities to the whole financial services market, whether you're on the capital markets or private banking or corporate banking. We have over 500,000 subscribers today, and they are using Symphony every day in order to build their business, run their business, and reach their customers.
And we've seen across fintech and across industries around the world, COVID prompting a surge in digitization, especially in the world of finance. Did Symphony see a big boost as well?
A lot. 2020, I mean, starting around February, we've seen the wave starting in Asia first, Elliot, and then it eventually obviously spread to the rest of the world. A massive surge in pretty much day after day, and we have broken record after record in terms of activity, in terms of revenue, in terms of engagement. And obviously, we were at the right place at the right time, despite the very wrong circumstances, as people have obviously a strong need to work from home while keeping their productivity, at the top level. And we were able to cater to that. We became truly mission critical, an essential part of this ecosystem. And actually, it continues. You might think that we are over this. I really don't see, and we continue to see the growth. A sustained growth from March last year.
Right. So I guess, a lot of the growth we've seen is here to stay would be the way you see it. Now, Symphony itself is a unicorn. It has been for some time. You've raised, I think, more than $500 million. What did you use the money for? And in the wake of Slack's IPO and subsequent acquisition by Salesforce, are acquisitions and or an IPO on the cards for Symphony?
Well, we use the funding in order to make sure that we meet the very high bar set by financial services customers and its regulators. And the amount of investment that's required to be able to crossing that particular bar is just so high. I never expected it to be so difficult. And so pretty much all of the investment went on R&D and obviously go-to-market initiatives. Now, coming back to your question about, what are we going to do? We have, I think, crossed a very important milestone in 2020, this mission critical milestone we just talked about. And with that, our customers have been asking us to add more capabilities to our product set. And we are obviously investing in that, but we are also thinking about acquisitions. So If all goes well this year, we should be able to do 2 to 4 acquisitions that will complement our product stack and completely meet the expectations of our customers to have what we now call conversational workflows. And then hopefully we'll talk more about automation as well.
And I guess with so many investment banks among your backers, an IPO would be a pretty easy thing to get away. Is that something that's on the cards, perhaps in the near future or the medium term?
Not in the near future, but we always keep an eye on different financing options. Taking company public is something that we want to be ready for. We are running the company in a way in which if we make the decision to go public, we can. We are also running the company in a way in which if we need to, show profitability, we can. We have our core business and we have our solutions business, and our core business is actually profitable. And so we are, in this massive investment period of our life, and we think that it is best during this phase to remain private. But we'll be very, I would say, opportunistic, looking into the public markets when the time is right.
Right. And of course, as digitization has surged, so too has identity theft, hacking, and fraud. You talked a little bit about the security of your platform just before. At the same time, I think we've all seen what Facebook via WhatsApp has done to tweak its data privacy rules. How are all of these things affecting Symphony as a business?
It consolidates our position, and there are obviously a number of consumer and enterprise products that either use the data that is exchanged for their own benefit, or they provide, I would say, a subpar security protection for the data of its users. We set the bar, in this case, higher than anyone else. Symphony is an end-to-end encrypted platform. Our security model prevents us or any other third party, except obviously its users, to have access to the content. And we've been able to continue to innovate in this area. For example, Symphony enables encrypted search. So you can encrypt obviously your data, but if you cannot decrypt it in order to figure out what you've sent as a message or a file 3 or 4 days ago, it's not of any use. So we have built capabilities which are all patented that enable such scenarios to happen. And our customers continuously come to us and say, do not change anything. Stay as strong as you are. Don't go into the data. We value this tremendously and keep innovating in connectivity and in productivity.
Okay. Now, there's obviously David Gurle beyond being just CEO and founder of Symphony. So perhaps you can tell us a bit more about yourself, your background, and kind of how you came to find yourself in this position.
Well, I am an engineer by training, and both computer science and telecommunication. I did a double major. And I've been fascinated by helping people to communicate with each other in a better way. That dream started when I was 9 or 10 years old, when I first saw the video phone, a Japanese video phone with my mom on a Japanese, universal exposition kind of a thing. I was fascinated. I mean, I can't imagine that today, now we are recording this in real time and having this video session. But, when I was 10, 40 years ago, that was certainly not a possibility. But that thing remained, anchored in my head, in my imagination. And so I worked relentlessly to make it happen. I worked for Microsoft on Windows Messenger, on MSN Messenger. We introduced at that time the first video communication capabilities. Then I joined Thomson Reuters and brought these capabilities to financial services. Then Skype. It's interesting, we talk about Zoom these days, but, just a few years ago, it was about Skype. So, even though the names changed, the use case is still, humans need that video communications, that fidelity that comes from that. And so that's what always has fascinated me. But I prefer the enterprise universe. And I really felt that, from consumer to enterprise, there's a higher value that we can create and we can generate. And so oriented Symphony in this direction, following the previous company, which I founded and sold. And now I'm on a journey to bring productivity and efficiency to financial markets. It's a B2B and B2C market. It's entirely based on information flow, and I would say the quality of this information and the speed at which it's delivered and how it's protected are fundamentals for this market to be successful. And now adding capabilities on top of that is my next dream.
Okay. Well, David, don't go away, because we're going to take a very quick break, after which we're going to continue our conversation with David Gurle, founder and CEO of Symphony. Welcome back. Don't forget, if you're not already a full member of our community, everything you need to join can be found at www.parisfintechforum.com. And now, David, I've got a few more questions for you. So why don't we take a bit of a deeper dive into your area of fintech and the ecosystem in general. We see that money is still gushing into fintech, whether it's from VCs or from SPACs, which seem all the rage right now. Do you think, looking from, 24,000 feet above, do you think that valuations are now getting a little bit frothy? Could we perhaps be in a fintech bubble?
It depends which area. First of all, I think you're absolutely right, Elliot. There is a lot of private money looking for investment, either in the form of VC growth funds or private equity organizations, and most recently SPACs. And we've been contacted, we are constantly being contacted by all of these organizations around the world. And so there is money to be invested, and that creates a supply opportunity, and it certainly inflates some of the valuation aspects. Having said that, I found those investors to be very sophisticated. They are all looking for what you would call value investors, unless they really feel that it is getting ahead of themselves and they better be in, it doesn't matter at what price. And those are really, really exceptions. Maybe a handful of them are falling in this category. And in general, they tend to fall in the category of consumer fintech, versus enterprise or capital markets fintech, like where we sit.
Okay. And you're based, Symphony is an international company, of course. You're based in several countries, including France. You are a French citizen, but your headquarters isn't in France. I think it's in Palo Alto. What's your take on the place of France's technology ecosystem, in the context of the rest of the world?
It has changed a lot. It's interesting. When I created a company in Palo Alto, which remains the heart of Silicon Valley and the heart of entrepreneurial innovation on high tech, I would say ideas. I hired essentially key French engineers, and they were expats like me, who settled in Silicon Valley, and they did a fantastic job, and we continue to work together to this day. And as we developed our footprint in Palo Alto, it became very difficult to compete for talent. On one hand, most of the talent is imported in the United States. So what's going on is that you highly depend on H-1B visas and the green card process in order to bring this talent home. And the previous administration in the United States has massively restricted the capacity for US to bring immigrant information technology workers. So this competitive situation and immigration challenges have pushed us to look elsewhere. And we looked at France, and we found France to be very open-minded, both in terms of labor laws, in terms of fiscal, I would say, incentives, and in terms of entrepreneurship. They have this very interesting Crédit Impôt Recherche, which is basically a form of offsetting some of the cost of hiring someone in software engineering, and which takes about 20 to 30% of the cost away. And you know, it's a lot. And so you add that to the geographical position of France, pretty much in the middle of our world, you know, between Asia and US, very good infrastructure. And then, you know, the talent pool in France is massive. But what really surprised me, you mentioned that we have offices in France, and which is in south of France, in Valbonne-Sophie Antipolis, between Cannes and Nice, which is not a bad place to work, trust me. You know, we have 140 engineers and over 14 nationalities there. You know, we don't speak French, we speak English there. And I was actually positively surprised how France has become the I would say the new magnet for European, and I would say, you know, more you know, talent from abroad. And I think this is going to continue. And France has certainly turned the corner in becoming a very attractive country with those policies, and taking advantage of its, I would say, educational system and the geopolitical stability and opportunities it offers.
Okay, and just finally, because we are running out of time, David, I'm just wondering if the kind of Reddit-fueled retail trading frenzy over stocks like GameStop and AMC earlier this year, if that means that now you're an avid reader, if you and your clients are now kind of, you know, avidly reading this, if a lot of these messages flying across are now kind of links to Reddit postings rather than Wall Street Journal analysis?
You know, things have changed. You're right to point it out, Elliot. Now information is no longer just coming from, I would say, the regular sources, and it's coming everywhere. It started very well before what we are seeing. You know, one of the first things that our customers wanted is to have a feed to Twitter, because so many things are happening faster on Twitter. They are happening through the regular sources that they are accustomed to. And this has expanded to Reddit and to other places around the net. And everybody is paying attention to it now. And we have programs who are like going after these posts and extracting information. And AI is here, and it will take a bigger role over time.
Okay, well, we look forward to seeing how that pans out. Unfortunately, though, we are out of time. So I really just want to thank you, David de Gurle, founder and CEO of Symphony, for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Elliot.
Okay, now I'll be back next week with another big name from the world of finance and technology. We do hope you'll join us again then. In the meantime, you can keep up to date with all the exclusive interviews and content from the Paris Fintech Forum Communities Program via www.parisfintechforum.com. Hope to see you then. Bye-bye.